Hello, everyone, and welcome into today's live. Welcome in, welcome in. I'll give it a moment for everyone to hop on. If you are new here, my name is Tamie M Joyce. I am best known for my work as a life coach in codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery. I am shifting gears and moving in the direction of the next iteration. So I still coach specific to codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery, but the focus is shifting to life and business coaching, in particular for spiritual entrepreneurs or those who want to become their own boss in a very specific lane: digital entrepreneurship, soul-aligned, service-oriented business. So it's a lot of success and mindset mentorship in addition to strategy. I'm looking for my comments here. For some reason, I'm having a hard time getting this going. Still adjusting to the YouTube live platform from this angle. So let me see what happens here. Drop me a hello, say hi, let me know you're here. Christopher, hello from Sacramento. Nice to have you with me. So yes, we are elevating the conversation. So I still support people in terms of codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery. I have a very powerful and effective program called the Freedom Class. I've been running very successfully since 2018, supporting people in that regard. But we're, as I said, moving in a new direction. The next iteration, which for me is expanding into life and business coaching, success and mindset mentorship, helping you manifest success on your terms, really is what it boils down to. So Patty, welcome. Eternally Born, hello. Hi from Chattanooga. Stephanie, welcome. Oh, I'm so kind. That's very kind of you to say. I'm so happy. That's the case. Mark from Philly, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Okay, so how these live sessions work. This is a relatively new format. I started just in the last couple of weeks. So every Tuesday and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, it's my intention to go live to bring you value, to elevate the conversation, and to take some time to answer some of your questions and connect in a more real and human heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul way than what we are normally able to do through the typical YouTube content. So that is the intention. So every Tuesday and every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to try and squeeze in the occasional Sunday when I'm able to do that. Julie Mumford, so nice to have you on. So happy to have you tuning in here. There's a blast from the past. CLR from Bloomington, Indiana, welcome in. Kat from Scotland, my goodness, I was in Edinburgh a number of years ago. Scotland is truly one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and the people and the accent, yeah, it was amazing. Trisha from Florida, welcome in. Okay, so let's dive into the content for today. Now, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack our subject matter. I have a special sneak peek preview happening today just for you guys. You guys are going to be the very first to hear about this publicly, something that I will be promoting publicly here. We're slated to begin having that conversation at the end of the week publicly, but you guys are getting a sneak peek. So I'm going to share all the details and goods on that with regards to a brand new program that I'm launching. And then I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to dive into some live Q&A with you. So if you have a question, drop it in the question in the chat box rather. It is always helpful if you put question first in bold and or a question mark, because that way they jump out at me and I'm less likely to miss them. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to answer everybody's questions, but I'll get to as many as I can. So with that said, let's dive in. So turn your pain into power and profit for yourself and others. That's the subject we're going to dive into today. Turning your pain your pain, bit of a mouthful, turning your pain into power and profit for yourself and others. So let's start with the first piece of that. How do we take our pain and turn it into power? How do we do that? Right? So I might sound like a bit of a broken record for those of you who tune into me regularly or have been hanging around my orbit for any length of time, but it always comes back to being willing to stand still in the truth of whatever it is that we are living, feeling, feel it to heal it, feeling and experiencing. And sometimes that means peeling back layers of denial that we've been in our whole lives. Man, have I been there in my life, right? Peeling back the layers of denial, the rose-colored glasses that enabled us to survive what we have lived in. So sometimes that's a painful part of the process of turning our pain into power. But it always comes back to taking our focus off of them, pouring it squarely onto us and our internal reality, conscious and subconscious, and doing the real work of healing and recovery to shift the internal game. Being willing to meet ourselves progressively more and more so over time. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and what an experience it is here on planet Earth, not least in 2025. Right? If the last 5 years haven't woken you up to the fact that, there's some things going on this planet, then nothing will, right? So we are, like it or not, whether we're coming to it willingly or coming to it kicking and screaming, we are, I believe, collectively going through an awakening process, an ascension process. And the foundation of that awakening, that ascension process, is standing squarely in the truth of what I am living, what I am feeling, what I am experiencing, focused on me, doing my work, taking my inventory, doing my work, healing the stuff that I've been carrying, sometimes for lifetimes, but let's just say this entire lifetime, for decades, for the purpose of this conversation, what I have been carrying for decades of time, and really taking radical responsibility for my experience, the quality of my life, and my healing process, whatever it takes. Being willing, as we say in the recovery movement, being willing to go to any lengths. Whatever it takes, as long as it takes. And that's not an easy journey. That is a journey that is not for the faint of heart. That is a journey that is not for the faint of heart. There's nothing easy about it. So we always want to approach turning our pain into power through real healing, real recovery, real personal growth and development. And I say real because there's a lot of people running around paying lip service to having done the work when they haven't even scratched the surface. Binge watching YouTube videos and reading a couple of books is not doing the work, my friends. That's not the work. It's helpful. It's informative. It's validating. It can help us make sense of the insanity. It can certainly be like, a salve on a wound when you're being validated, when you tune into a YouTube video or open up a book and your experience is validated and you're starting to make sense of the crazy you've lived. But it's not the work. It's not the work. Binge watching YouTube videos is not doing the work. So being willing to meet myself at that level, whatever it takes, for as long as it takes, while simultaneously being tender, gentle, kind, and loving with myself. Big piece. We can be so brutal on ourselves. We don't need other people to abuse us. We're doing it all day long in the 6 inches between our ears and other ways, right? So learning extreme self-care while I walk myself through this awakening process, this ascension process, this manifesting my becoming process, who I was always meant to be. right? That is the long and short of it. I mean, I could talk for days about what goes into that, and I do actually, and have been for many, many years. But that is the long and short of it. How do we take our pain and turn it into power? We actually become willing to face ourselves and the truth of what we've lived and do what we need to do to heal, to make conscious contact with, to up level, shift, heal, transmute what we carry that is holding us back and standing in our way and keeping us caught in these patterns, these subconscious magnetic relationship patterns on unconscious autopilot, keeping these patterns playing out in our lives year after year, decade after decade sometimes, right? So that is the long and short of it in terms of how do we turn our pain into power. Now, some of you have a call on your life. Some of you have a call on your life and you've always known it, or you're starting to be aware of it because there's a little whisper in your ear and a tap on your shoulder. You know you've got a message. You know you can help a certain segment of the population in a certain way, even if you haven't quite figured that out entirely yet. You actually want to put a dent in the darkness that is so pervasive on this planet. You feel called. There's a call on your life, but you're not quite sure where to get started. So I have, as I said, expanded the conversation and what it is, who I am and what it is that I do and what I am going to be offering moving forward. And I'm very excited to announce that in July, I have a new program starting called Rise, the Aligned Business Incubator. The Aligned Business Incubator. So it's going to be in beta. It's a 12-week program, and it is going to be offered at a discounted beta launch price this time only. And again, we start Wednesday, July 9th. Now, this is not for everyone. This is for those of you who, wherever you are on your journey, you know in your bones, you know in your soul, you know in your knower, that all that you have lived and all that you have been through can be turned from shit into gold in the service of yourself and others. In fact, as I said, you know there's a call on your life, even if you haven't completely crystallized what that means or what that looks like. You're feeling called to step on the path. So that is who the new program Rise is for. I actually pulled some of our copy off of the page. So we have a what we call a sales page. So the details. So this is for you if you know there's a call on your life. If you're ready to embody the next version of yourself. You've always wanted to get started online, but you're unsure exactly how to begin. You really enjoy social media and you enjoy learning new things. You're willing to, and you actually enjoy learning new things. You feel called to more and need expert guidance to help bring your vision to life. You're intuitive, empathic, and driven. You want a business model that supports all of those natural strengths. You crave mentorship from someone who's done it and guidance rooted in both mindset, strategy, and energetics. You want to be well paid for your work while staying in integrity with your values and your mission. Service-oriented, soul-aligned, integral, impactful, healing, light worker, on a mission, here on purpose, turning it all into gold in the service of others, This is landing for you. It speaks to you. It's a clarion bell. You know it's for you. Again, it's not for everyone. This is who it's for. Your ultimate goal is to enjoy the Freedom Laptop lifestyle, and you're willing to do the work over time to get there, and you want to have fun while you're doing it. So if that sounds like you, there's a link in the description below this video where you can see all the details of this beta launch of my new program, Rise, the Aligned Business Incubator. I am going to be taking a small group of people through this 12-week container to get you from where you are to on path, purpose, and mission, moving forward with the fundamental strategies that you need to begin to get your voice out there, to become visible, and to begin to have the impact that you came to the planet to have. Now, some of you are still very much in the midst of doing your own work. You haven't arrived. For the record, we never arrive. It's an ongoing evolutionary journey. Spoiler alert, we never arrive. There's always a new level to ascend to. While on the path of evolving yourself into your mission, your purpose, your passion project, you will quite naturally amplify and speed up your in evolutionary process, your own ascension process. When you are steeped in and committed to the conversation, whatever your specific lane happens to be, your growth game becomes big and fast. You just have to get on the path. So again, if that speaks to you, there's a link in the description below this live where you can click on Rise, and you're welcome to get yourself registered. Again, I'm going to keep it an intimate container. I'm going to start announcing it public. This is pretty public, but you guys are the first to hear about it. Public later this week. We've got a webinar with Epic Financial, my good friend Rob Gill, happening on Thursday. If you haven't registered for that, you might want to register for that. That's going to be an insane amount of value. So we have that happening on Thursday, and then I think it's Friday or Saturday, we start going public with Rise as an opportunity for those who want to take this journey with me. So who am I to take you on this journey? So if you are relatively new to me, if you haven't been around for a while, I am, again, best known for my work as a life coach in codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery, and now expanding the conversation. So I've officially come out as a life and business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs just in this last week. I am making that transition and expansion to, my offerings. I have been online since 2015. And since 2015, I've invested multiple six figures, over $200,000 in my digital entrepreneurial education. And it's been a really good investment in terms of return on investment. It's been a really good investment. I've built a very successful life coaching practice. I launched my first official program in 2018. I've been selling it very successfully ever since. Although I'm a life coach, I'm not a clinician. I have worked with dozens of 20+ year veteran family psychotherapists, 20+ year veteran family psychotherapists who have come through my program, the Freedom Class, for help with codependency and narcissistic abuse in their own lives. In 2024, I worked with 2 doctors of psychiatry who came through my program, came to me for help with codependency and narcissistic abuse in their own lives. I've supported thousands of people internationally in their healing and recovery. I have millions of views on my YouTube content. My free content alone has put a massive dent and had a massive influence on moving us forward in terms of the conversation. Codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery untreated adult child syndrome, family scapegoating abuse, etc. So from a business perspective, I definitely have the results. From a coaching perspective, I definitely have the results. Some of the folks who come through the Rise beta opportunity with me will have a completely different lane in terms of what it is that they want to do from an entrepreneurial perspective. And that's going to be a great addition to the conversation. And I know by virtue of how many of you have reached out to me over the years asking whether or not I coach coaches in codependency and narcissistic abuse healing and recovery, there will be those of you who want to do that work as well. And again, I'm very well positioned to lead you and guide you and coach you into stepping into that position for yourself. If you feel called, you know it. Again, it's not for everybody. You know it if you feel called. If you know that it's time to take all that you've been through, even if you know that you still have healing and recovery work to do, that's fine. You're not meant to be perfect and finished and complete. But